Hello, and thank you for joining me in this discussion of some Tokyo highlights centered around security operations. Today, we'll be looking into some of the new features exclusive to the vulnerability response application. My name is Derek Ricketts. I'm a solution consultant here in the security operations space. We're going to kick things off with a quick agenda. I'm going to go over what vulnerability response is, and then we'll dive into some of the new features, which include a new Sisa workspace, enriched by known exploited vulnerabilities with a new integration. And we're going to see how we can use this to enhance our remediation status tracking and cover additional areas like cloud infrastructure and improve our container visibility. So the vulnerability response application allows us to quickly identify bottlenecks and areas for improvement using our unique workspace so we can use to group vulnerabilities up and categorize them better. This way we can monitor and report on effectiveness of your remediation strategy better. And then with our enriched context, we can better assess the exposure accurately by containing service-aware CMDB with scanning data from our vulnerability response scanners and other areas like our outside resources, such as the National Vulnerability Database. So as far as some new features to Tokyo, we'll start with talking about the Sisa integration. So the Sisa integration allows us to enrich some of the data into our typical vulnerability response workspace. So we'll be able to have those known exploited vulnerabilities published, and it's tied to our vulnerabilities picked up from our scanner, for example. This way, we can put it all in that unique workspace and continue to track and then eventually initiate our bulk remediation efforts. So this will allow us to accelerate the prioritization decisions and prioritize remediations by the due dates as we're getting further enrichment, and we'll be able to differentiate a lot of our vulnerabilities a lot better. Then we can track the status and remediation of vulnerabilities in a single environment with our watch topics, and that's once we kick off those bulk remediation efforts. And again, all of this will be in a single pane of glass view. So we'll be able to easily and conveniently work through all of these vulnerabilities, even as they continue to come in. So here's a glimpse of what that will look like. This is our vulnerability response workspace with those CISA known exploits. And as you can see, we can see certain metrics immediately within the overview tab of the workspace, such as the amount of active vulnerabilities over time to see how we're trending. And then if there's any vulnerability remediation efforts created, we'll be able to see some of those quick metrics that matter to us as soon as we click into the workspace. Now, with those vulnerabilities of known exploits, we can see exactly how they're tied to our configuration items, for example, and the total quantity of distinct configuration items. This way, we know exactly how many of our assets this is affecting, since there could be more than one vulnerability tied to a configuration item. And we can even see that broken up into class. Like, for example, is this an email server? Is this a printer? Is this an IP phone? Be able to see all those metrics conveniently broken up right there. And then we'll be able to see how many of these vulnerabilities are distinct. So just similar to how we can have more than one vulnerability tied to a configuration item, there could be more than one, or there could be duplicate vulnerabilities, but we'll be able to pick out and see exactly how many distinct vulnerabilities we're dealing with. And lastly, we have all those vulnerability items themselves. We'll have all the context enriched provided by, again, the Sisa integration. So that'll populate our summary and even give us certain other metrics like the common vulnerability exposure ID. And again, so we know exactly what we're dealing with. I'd like to thank everyone for going through some of those new vulnerability response features from the Tokyo release. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at derek.ricketts@servicenow.com or visit us at www.servicenow.com/SecOps for additional related documentation.